Clinical Trial is a story-driven RPG Maker game developed primarily by someone named Homie. It is also a game that I didn't know existed until a few days ago, with my discovery of it essentially being an accident. While this game has only been out for a couple months, it feels kind of crazy to me that not many people are talking about it. And as of the writing of this script, I've only managed to find one playthrough of it on YouTube. That is insane to me, cause I genuinely do think this game is something special, and I want to talk about it. As the video title implies, I will be spoiling this game. If you don't want to get spoiled, I'll have a link to the game's itch.io page in the description below. Please go ahead and play it. It's free and so worth the experience. Keep in mind though that it's for an 18 plus audience and contains horror elements and disturbing themes. If you're still here though, I think we can go ahead and start to answer the main question at hand. What happens in Clinical Trial? Our story begins on a Wednesday. Angel, the character we play, enters a reception area. In it, Angel can interact with a variety of different objects and give their commentary, but eventually they go ahead and ring the service bell. A few moments later, a man named Lee Smith emerges from a door. Lee notices the flyer in Angel's hand and correctly assumes that they're here for the clinical trial. The flyer, adorned with Angel's cute drawings, gives us more background on this trial. Basically, there's this new injectable medication by Neurosana that's supposed to treat ADHD, and they're looking for participants with suspected or diagnosed ADD or ADHD to test the medication on. If the participants attend 8 study visits over 8 consecutive weeks and get their blood drawn and receive the medication at each visit, they get $1,000. Since Angel wasn't aware of the form in the back, Lee has them fill it out and also asks for their insurance card. Though partially ripped, Angel confirms that their last name is Martinez with a Z. Quick side note, when I was first playing this, I didn't really know what Angel's gender was. I didn't know if we'd get more clarity on that later, or if this was just an intentional omission to let the players decide for themselves. So initially, I just headcanoned Angel as a dude, mainly cause my gay ass was preparing for the possibility of shipping these two, but for the purpose of this video, I'm just gonna use gender-neutral language when referring to Angel. Anyways, Angel fills out the form, answers some questions to verify eligibility, and confirms their belief in having ADHD, and the two head to the patient room out back. In there, we start with a vitals check, with Angel's vitals being below average, followed by a blood sample being drawn before finally receiving the medication. To be clear though, simply listing out what happens in this scene doesn't really do it justice. So, for good measure, I'm actually gonna play a clip from my playthrough of this scene. I mainly wanted to show you this scene for two reasons. Reason one, the audio. There's actually not much audio to speak of here, but what we get is pretty effective. The purring of the machine as it checks Angel's vitals, the ripping sound as Lee applies a patch to Angel's arm, even the background ambience contributes quite a bit to this sterile atmosphere where nothing is wrong per se, but you still feel tense, if that makes sense. What really elevates the scene to the next level, though, happens to be my second reason, the sprite work. We get to see all of Angel and Lee's movements as they go through this process. Lee especially, the attention to detail with his motions, be it grabbing something from the table or drawing blood from Angel, is honestly so good. Like, wow. And it really gives this scene some weight, visually witnessing every deliberate motion in tandem with the dialogue and audio. Altogether, it creates a seemingly mundane procedure and heightens it in a way, to the point where you get this irrational, foreboding feeling in the pit of your stomach that something bad is gonna happen. And I love it. Again, so good. With that, we're done for today. After Lee advises them to pay attention to any side effects and asks that they return around the same time next Wednesday, Angel takes their leave, their shift at the food service job beginning in an hour. Later that night, we see Angel in their room, browsing their phone. Before going to bed, we get to see some of Angel's artwork and the comments underneath, as well as the chat between Angel and their manager at work. This is another scene I really like. It gives us more insight into Angel's life, be it through their creative outlet found in their art, or the harsher reality of their job and the rude boss they have. I like it a lot. After that, we jump to week 2. Angel feels no different from last week, but that's to be expected since it's only been 1 week. After Lee gives us an analogy of neural activity in the brain being like the flow of water at varying levels, we once again head to the patient room. Same procedure as before, with Angel noticing an icy burn this time. Lee assures them though that it's probably the lubricating agent causing this feeling, rather than the medication itself. With that, we jump on over to week 3. Angel comes in with a nosebleed and needs some tissues, and, as luck would have it, this girl happens to have some. The two have a pretty friendly conversation. We find out that she goes to Ackerton's beauty school extension and has even done special effects makeup for the guys in costumes that chase you around in haunted mazes. We also find out that Angel used to attend Ackerton, but doesn't anymore. I gotta say, the music that plays here is so upbeat and happy, especially in comparison to the rest of the soundtrack. It definitely sticks out, but in a good way. It gives this girl a lot of personality. Anyways, she soon leaves. If Angel checks the clipboard, then we find out that the girl's name is Adriana Ortega. At the patient room, Lee gives Angel a follow-up questionnaire, which will be administered every other week from here on out. Angel answers them, but also isn't a big fan of these questions, which Lee actually agrees on, but is obligated to ask them anyways. We then get to the standard procedure. Things go as expected, but then Angel notices that the medication fluid in the syringe is a different color. Lee tries to assure Angel that the medication is the same, but eventually reveals that the pharmaceutical company changed vial manufacturers. Basically, the medication was shipped out at 72 degrees Fahrenheit rather than 70. causing the color of the reagent in the vial to change. Beyond that, though, the formula itself is identical. This convinces Angel, and they receive the medication, noticing that it burnt more than last time. Before leaving, Angel shares with Lee that their job has been pretty tough. Their manager sucks, and Angel unfortunately doesn't get priority with their schedule, leading to an exhausting work week. With that, Angel takes their leave, and we get another scene of them on their phone. We get some more adorable art from Angel, but also some worrying messages from their sibling, saying that their mom doesn't want to talk to Angel and is taking it out on their siblings. So, in addition to dropping out of college and working a shitty job, Angel's also dealing with family problems. It's kind of sad, actually. Angel just can't seem to catch a break. Now it's week 4. Tonally, this week is pretty different. Instead of the sterile ambiance of before, we actually get some music here. It feels warm and inviting, but also melancholic and nostalgic, and I really like it. Lee is actually in the reception desk. He is finishing up a continuing education unit that's required for his license to stay active, so Angel has some time to look around. Before it was simply Angel's commentary, but now Lee will also chime in. The aquarium, for example, is something Lee is very interested in. He goes on this whole exposition about fire shrimp, and it's honestly really cute. Even with his stoic, flat disposition, you can still feel his genuine interest in the topic. And when Angel interacts with the painting, we get a more knowledgeable answer from Angel about the painter and how he mysteriously died before said painting was discovered. Just overall, a pretty chilled scene with us being treated to more character insights from Angel and Lee. Soon, we find ourselves back at the patient room, and the usual procedure begins. So, I didn't mention this before, but in week 2, Angel asked Lee if he had blue or purple bandages. Lee didn't have any at the time, but this week, he actually has blue bandages for Angel. So yeah, another cute little moment. We get another interesting conversation about Angel and Lee venting about the medical system in general, and how it's kind of bullshit, which I personally appreciated because it really is bullshit. In the US at least. Okay, week 5. Angel sees that girl again, and we find out she goes by Adri. They chat a bit, with Adri teasing Lee for his more stoic personality, and she leaves to see her boyfriend. And we never see her again, actually. Yeah, Adri doesn't have a big role in the story or anything. She's just kind of vibing. And honestly, kudos to her. She was a lot of fun and provided some good relief from the game's general tone. So, we then get Lee giving Angel another questionnaire, with the answers this time actually being somewhat encouraging. Once again, the standard procedure takes place, with Angel and Lee chatting about the legal implications that come up when working in the medical field. Procedure is finished, and once again, the burning sensation is noticeable to Angel. Lee assures Angel that other people have experienced something similar, but then Angel gets nauseous and almost throws up. Brushing it off, Angel heads to their 6-hour shift, with Lee appearing worried. Once again, we get another scene of Angel on their phone, a cute furry drawing on the left, and a chat between Angel and their coworker. Angel mentioned it earlier to Lee, but looks like they'll have the chance to hang out with someone else, which doesn't happen often. And so we arrive at week 6, and The title card this time has a slight blur to it, which is a bit foreboding. Not only that, but you can tell something is off. Angel refuses to comment on anything, and when Lee doesn't show up despite the service spell being rung multiple times, Angel notices a clicking noise from a camera in the area. Walking up to the camera, Angel questions feeling watched, how this place feels empty, and how we never even saw a receptionist. But Lee unintentionally jump scares us with an answer that the receptionist leaves at 4:30. Y'all, this whole scene kind of made me tense. I was like, is something going to happen? But no, nothing crazy or anything like that. Until we get to the actual procedure, and I'll just let you watch. Now that was actually crazy. I had chills like, what's happening here? Is something going on in Angel's head where their perception is becoming unstable? Did Lee really go ahead and touch Angel's arm without the standard request for a consent? Is there something more sinister going on? We don't really have the answers, but eventually Angel snaps out of whatever state they're in, gets up, and leaves, even forgetting their own jacket. Yeah, something is definitely up with Angel. They're not acting how they normally would. This behavior sort of continues in week 7, with Angel just being more focused on getting this over with than anything else. The procedure feels quicker than ever, and Angel's responses on the questionnaire aren't all that great either. By this point, Lee knows that something is wrong and asks if the two could step outside for a bit. They enter a separate door and ascend the staircase to find themselves on the roof. Since it's a bit chilly, Lee offers Angel their jacket, and after that, they talk. Angel lets it all out about how rough things have been, be it through family, work, or their two roommates that also happen to hate them. It gets worse though. When Lee asks Angel how their time was with their coworker, Angel reveals that said coworker sexually assaulted them twice. The first time when they were at his place, and the second time in his car when Angel confronted him privately about the first time and how that wasn't okay, only for him to take advantage of the situation and do it again. And to see Angel's reaction to all this is genuinely heartbreaking. Literally the saddest scene in the entire game. Lee tries to calm things by suggesting that Angel quit their job, but Angel isn't really having it, and shouldn't have to quit and lose their only source of income just because of some asshole. Angel feels regret over telling Lee this, places Lee's jacket by the railing, and leaves. Well, now we know what's really going on with Angel. Lee messages Angel out of concern, but gets no response. Even more worrisome, though, is Angel's absence in week 8. Angel has never missed their Wednesday appointment before, and you can tell Lee is getting progressively worried, trying to pass the time with other tasks while he waits for Angel, well past office hours. It isn't until Friday, 2 days later, where Angel finally shows up. After apologizing for how their last meeting went and not responding to Lee, Angel wonders if they can finish the trial and get the money. Lee is honestly just happy to see Angel again and gives them the final questionnaire. After giving not so encouraging answers, Angel follows Lee to the patient room where vitals are tested and blood is drawn for the final time. And it's over. Angel's clinical trial has finished, and they don't feel like the medication worked on them. And then we get this bombshell. This entire time, Angel was part of the control group for a double blind test. This entire time, Angel was given a placebo, and the injection itself was saline. Lee was only able to find out in the first place by actually taste testing the medication and noting that the real one had a bitter taste. And the only reason he did that was out of concern for Angel, just in case the medication was causing them some adverse effects. I was so gagged at this. Like, I genuinely felt surprised. This entire time I was like, oh, this medication is for sure messing with Angel. The game is literally called Clinical Trial. Of course there's gonna be some implications surrounding the medication, but that's the thing. It was all one big misdirection. A red herring. And I just think it's brilliant. Like, so good. I did find it kind of weird how Angel experienced a burning sensation that progressively got more painful each week after taking the medication, but I guess Lee's explanation of the lubricating agent causing that sting is probably accurate. So, with the cat out of the bag, Lee gives Angel the $1,000 as promised. As Angel leaves for their shift, Lee calls out to them and basically tells Angel that they could spend the night in Lee's home. And you know what? Angel goes for it, hopping in Lee's truck as the two make the drive back. While on the road, we get more background on Lee. He's a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, but that was never really his goal. Instead, he aimed to become an orthopedic surgeon, but found that his gifted child reputation didn't really work all too well in pre-med, with him getting C minuses and scoring poorly on the MCAT. After a gap year resulting in another failed MCAT attempt, Lee decided to go for a master's in nursing to start working and pay off his loans. Now look, I'm not familiar with pre-med or anything like that, but I can honestly relate to the whole gifted child thing and how that kind of falls apart as a lot of us get older. But yeah, Lee so far has been such an intriguing character to learn about. Pretty stoic, but a lot more to his character than one would expect. Okay, we are now roughly halfway into the story. One quick note, from here on out, you might likely notice me condensing my summary more compared to the first half, especially if you already played the game. Now, don't get it twisted. It's not because I dislike the story's second half or anything. Quite the contrary, I love it. With that said, given that the events from here on out all take place in one location, I feel a bit more confident in my ability to tighten my summary without sacrificing the main story beats. Plus, I'm trying not to make this video too long for myself, so I hope you understand. Eventually, we arrive at Lee's home. Lee gives Angel some change of clothes and the two watch a nature documentary together. They chat for a bit, and we get a funny moment of Lee recalling Adri telling him that he has resting bitch face. Lee is still not beating the comically tense allegations I see. And soon they're off to sleep, Lee in his room while Angel sleeps on the couch. Speaking broadly, these next 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, are what I would best describe as Angel and Lee deepening their relationship. Certainly beyond the initial provider patient level at the game's start, that's for sure. They spend more time together, doing a variety of different things. Angel cooks for Lee, they check out the pond in Lee's yard and look at small critters through a microscope, they play games together, draw together. Oh my gosh, Angel's drawing is so cute. Very clear who is supposed to be who here. And Lee's is also precious, especially for someone that doesn't draw. His love of fire shrimp continues to shine here. There's also a layer of intimacy that begins to take hold between them, with Angel beginning to sleep in Lee's bed, tracking their pulses in said bed, and if you select the option for it, even a cute bath scene together. It almost feels kind of slice of life in a way, which was not at all what I was expecting from this game. But hey, I'm not complaining. Seeing these two genuinely happy together makes me happy, especially for Angel's sake. To see them finally catch a break and take it easy after everything they went through is so gratifying to see. With that said, considering the nature of this game, a question continues to nag at me. When will the other shoe drop? Well, let's take a look at what happens on Monday. As much of a good time as Angel had with Lee over the past weekend, they feel it's time for them to get back to their apartment, their job, if they still have one, just their regular life before this. Lee, however, would much rather have Angel stay a few more days, even offering to pick up Angel's stuff, fix the internet, get a cat, all stuff that Angel has missed. In the end, though, Angel agrees to stay a couple more hours. So, you know how I mentioned Angel missing the internet? Yeah, that's actually something I neglected to chat about earlier. Lee's home has no internet. He mentions that the router is broken and has never bothered to fix it, so Angel hasn't had any connection on their phone the last 3 days. So, while Lee is away to do some maintenance for his truck, Angel tries again to regain internet access. And I say again because Angel tried once, but the router in the garage looked very unusual to Angel, even with their experience doing internet provider stuff at their old job. That doesn't stop them from trying again, but Angel's not seeing anything resembling a router. In fact, it looks to be a modem instead, which means the router must be somewhere else. Angel assumes that it's probably in the bedroom, leading them back to it. After looking at one of the walls, Angel notices a port-shaped hole with a switch inside. This leads Angel to press it, and something unlatched. Upon closer inspection, the bookcase is now ajar. This prompts Angel to open it, and, well, let me just show you. Oh my god. Well, looks like Lee has a private shrine dedicated to Angel. Isn't that sweet? We have photos, what appears to be Angel's work schedule, the doll of Angel. I actually don't know what this is. Maybe pet hair that was on Angel's jacket. Also, is that the tissues Angel threw away after wiping their bloody nose? He's literally keeping that in a jar? Oh, hell no. So, yeah, Lee is kind of an obsessive freak. And look, it was pretty clear that Lee liked Angel. I don't think anyone disputed that. But for it to be at this level, yeah, it's certainly a lot. And Angel couldn't have discovered this at a worse time, because Lee is right behind them and he looks absolutely terrified. My god. Apparently, he was gonna take all this down before Angel discovered it, but too late now. And now, we, the player, have a choice to make. There were a few choices in the past that we could make, but this is the one that influences what ending you'll get. And it's a pretty simple choice. Will Angel reject or accept? I gotta say, I had chills in this moment, because it feels like the answer should be obvious, right? Like, anyone who does something like this would automatically be considered a red flag. At the same time, though, we've already gone through a lot with Angel and Lee throughout the story. We, as the player, now have an investment in these characters, and Angel has since developed a deeper bond with Lee, one that shouldn't immediately be discounted. Should we throw all that away and reject the one person that has had a positive impact on Angel up until this point, especially in the last 2 days? Well, it begs the question, what feels right? Where is the path forward in this? What should Angel do? Well, I'll tell you the choice I made first, and that, my friends, was the reject choice. The shrine was a bit too wild for me, and my trust in Lee immediately plummeted, so I decided to go with that first. And that choice results in Angel feeling very betrayed by Lee. Angel really liked this guy, so to be met with this creepy shrine and the realization that Lee's been following them, taking pictures, keeping their jacket instead of returning it to Angel, all that felt more like disrespect to Angel as a person than anything else. And with all that context, Lee's offer to take Angel to his home now has this new, unsettling feeling. So Angel makes the determination to leave, but Lee manages to convince Angel to at least drive them back home, given that they'd be walking for hours otherwise. Lee tells them that he needs just 30 minutes, snatches Angel's jacket to wash it, and leaves the room. Angel takes the opportunity to look for the router and tries looking in the closet. It's pretty big though, and dark, so Angel heads to the garage to retrieve the flashlight. Angel also gets their wet jacket from the dryer and notices some white stains on it. Oh no, Lee! You little degenerate! What? Why would you do something like that? Oh my gosh. Anyways, Angel returns back to the closet and uses the flashlight. There's actually some machine toward the back. Angel turns it off and that seems to do the trick, restoring connection back to Angel's phone. What's kind of sad about this scene though is how nobody bothered to message or check in on Angel. It's been 3 whole days and nothing, whether it be from family or even work. It hits Angel hard, feeling very alone in the world. Before Angel could ruminate on this further, however, they notice a hole in the wall. After sliding it open, guess what? We have another hidden area. And this one seems to go much deeper into the house. Angel, sweetie, I don't know about this, but Angel is basically like, fuck it, and goes down anyways. And what they find down there is a body, specifically of their coworker, Brandon. Lee soon shows up, more composed this time, and starts to chat about how he lied about actually wanting to be a doctor. In reality, the one thing he wanted the most since he was a child was to be dead. And it seems like the previous owner of this home was digging in this very area before his own death. Lee related to the guy, viewing the hole as the perfect place to crawl into and die. When he met Angel, though, that changed. It felt like he now had a purpose to live, and when Angel revealed that they were assaulted by their coworker, Lee knew who had to die in this cave. So, we get a flashback of Lee kidnapping Brandon on the Thursday of week 8, which was the day after Angel's absence from the clinic, and it takes him to the cave. He questions Brandon about Angel, but doesn't seem to know what Lee is talking about. After getting Brandon to admit that he was put on probation after his sexual assault on a woman named Sandra, who he claims was okay with sex but regretted it later, Lee presses Brandon on Angel again. And then we hear something interesting from Brandon. He refers to Angel as Angela, and uses she/her pronouns when talking about them. Looks like that torn up insurance card wasn't just obscuring the Z from Martinez. Anyways, Brandon pleads that Angel was okay with the sex, but Lee isn't having it and uses his drill to immobilize Brandon. And the fucked up thing is that you could actually choose which specific vertebrae from the lumbar, thoracic, or cervical regions to drill into. We don't actually see it happen, but Brandon does get the drill and probably lays in agony before being pronounced dead by Lee Friday morning. Angel's at a loss for why Lee would do this, especially when you consider that these two haven't known each other for that long. Lee responds by listing everything he knows about Angel, how they identify differently from their legal documents but haven't informed their coworkers due to poor reactions from the past, their birthday, where they work, how they don't seem to fit in with either the mostly female front staff or the all male kitchen staff despite working in both, how they had to help their mother with translation due to not speaking English, their art having a following online, their resilience. I'm leaving out quite a bit, but yeah. As much of a creepy stalker as Lee is, there's something heartwarming about his words. It's very much clear that he cares about Angel and believes in their adaptability, their strength. Anywho, Angel is now implicated in all this. Their disappearance occurred at a similar time as their coworker, and now that Angel restored cell service for a tower to ping nearby, authorities will likely want to question Angel about Brandon. Not to mention Angel now being aware of what really happened. Lee offers to work with Angel so they can get out of this mess, but Angel refuses. Even with the uphill battle they may face to prove their innocence, Angel doesn't want anything to do with Lee any longer. And Lee accepts this. He takes the drill, goes to the corner, and tells Angel that they should go in 10 seconds before killing himself with the drill. And as Angel stands by the door, getting ready to leave, they genuinely feel unsure about what to do next. Can they even prove their innocence after all this? We just don't know. The only thing they do know, though, is that they didn't do anything wrong. And hopefully that in of itself will be enough to persevere through all this till the end. With that, Angel leaves the home, an uncertain future awaiting them. And that was ending one. And I didn't feel all that great about it, if I'm being honest. It's open ended enough to where Angel could very well get out of this and prove their innocence. But even if we were to assume that, what will Angel be coming back to? They'll probably need to find a new minimum wage job, their roommates will still hate them, family problems will still remain. Like, I know that the option I chose was probably the more ethical or just one, but practically speaking, does this make Angel's life any better? We don't know for sure, but something tells me that Angel will still continue to struggle. I'm just being real here. But what about the other option? What happens if we accept Lee? Well, Angel takes it a lot better than expected. Basically, Angel starts to empathize with Lee, mentioning that he's lonely. No mention of friends, living out in the middle of nowhere. A person can do weird things when faced with that crippling isolation, and Angel knows that feeling. While it isn't lost on Angel that this shrine is creepy and a product of desperate behavior, they can also see this as Lee's way of getting to know Angel. Suffice to say, Lee is surprised by this, not at all expecting Angel to be this empathetic. We then get some background on the doll specifically. Turns out, the story is more wholesome than expected, with Lee and his sister making dolls of each other when they were younger and treating their respective doll with kindness, with the hope that said kindness would affect the real person. While Lee knows that such a thing isn't true now, he still made one for Angel after hearing about their assault, which is honestly sweet. Angel doesn't feel like they're worth obsessing over, but Lee made up his mind. He likes Angel a lot, and feels like there's actually a future out there because of Angel. Lee wants to take care of Angel, to keep them safe, and Angel is willing. Angel likes Lee and has enjoyed their time with him thus far, and if Lee is able to treat Angel like a normal person from here on out, this can work. Lee is absolutely relieved by this and also thankful that Angel is giving him a chance. Since he got sweaty, Lee takes this moment to shower, but not before putting Angel's jacket in the washer cause, well, you know. Angel doesn't regret their decision, but still would like a plan B just in case. And this is where the events from the first ending play out pretty much the same. From the closet to discovering Brandon's dead body and Lee's flashback sequence with Brandon, all of that is the same. It isn't until Lee's plea to Angel to work with him in covering all this up where we are presented with another option: accept or reject. And choosing to accept ultimately locks us into this alternate path, with Angel trusting that Lee would never hurt them. It's still fucked up that Lee would go against Angel's wishes and do something like this, but maybe it's for the better. Maybe Brandon would have continued to sexually assault others in the future, and having him gone is one less awful person to deal with. And Lee very much took Angel's words to heart back then. Angel shouldn't have to quit their job just to get away from Brandon. Lee took matters into his own hands, and he has no regrets about it. Having said that, Angel is now implicated in this, for the same reasons I mentioned before. There is a silver lining though. Missing person investigations aren't exactly high priority for adult men, which is kind of messed up when you think about it, but certainly good for our main characters. Ultimately, Lee plans to bury the body in evidence and lay a concrete floor over everything. And since this basement isn't part of the home's floor plan, it'll be nicely concealed after Lee seals away the hidden entrance for good. Of course, their stories will still need consistency if ever interviewed, so Lee affirms Angel's help on this, with Angel counting on Lee to get them out of this mess. Angel also gives Lee two final conditions: that they can move to a new home so there isn't a literal skeleton in the closet, and that Lee has revealed everything. No more hiding, no more curveballs, none of that. And Lee accepts both, promising that he has nothing more to hide. With that, they both leave the basement. We then get this pretty nice montage of them in the yard, followed by them driving with all their stuff packed up, and then to their new home, the future looking brighter than ever for these two. And that was ending 2. And I'm not even gonna lie, this is my preferred ending. Is it fucked up that they covered up a murder? Yes. Could Angel's acceptance of Lee after the shrine reveal be construed as ignoring a big red flag? Sure, certainly a valid argument. Does that change anything for me though? Not really. Because this is a work of fiction and I don't have to bog myself down in all the implications surrounding Angel and Lee's relationship. Fact of the matter is, this is indisputably a happy ending. Angel gets to have a better life with someone who truly loves them, Lee gets to be with Angel, and they're both happy. And I'm happy too. Not just because of this ending, but for the whole experience, really. I had an absolute blast playing this game. It was suspenseful, it was tense, but it was also really heartwarming and so well written. Angel and Lee were a blast to follow, and yeah, I do ship them. So, hats off to all the folks that worked on this game. It was so good, so good. And to anyone watching, please give this game some love. It's super underrated and 100% deserves all the flowers. With that said, I think I'm done here. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.